Awesome. So today we are going to take a look at the React example. So the assignment that you got yesterday was to create a game. I initially called it Pexeso, which is how we call it in Slovakia and in Czech Republic. But I've been told that this is not maybe not the best name. It's kind of hard to pronounce it in English. So I think in England it's called match or like memory game, concentration game, something like that. So let's call it match to make it easier for everybody. And what we'll do now in the following like 30-45 minutes maybe is I'll create the solution and walk you through the whole thinking process about how you can come up with your own next time when we have like a new assignment and you'll have to work on something new. I think it's important to come up with a proper way of structuring everything and think about it very logically and just step by step build up the solution so that it works properly. So first thing that I suggest, especially in the beginning where you don't have too much experience with writing any components like this, is to just use all the tools that are available to you and start by prototyping something, So create a diagram or maybe even more diagrams, just put things together so that when you actually start writing some code, you have a clearer idea of what you are doing and maybe why, yeah? So let's do that now. So we are going to create some sort of a game. So I think it's quite an obvious idea to have some sort of component that will act like a layout of the game, yeah? So let's call this layout, and let's put it, how do I center the text to go up? Okay, like this. So this will be like a wireframe of the application that we are building, and can I decrease these corners? Great. And the reason why you need to do this is you need to figure out the good structure for your component, because some of you had better luck with this, some of you worse, but I think for all of you it will be great to just draw it on paper, use something like Draw.io or some other tools that are free on internet, and then you can be better prepared for writing some actual code. So first component will be layout, yeah? Second component will be, well, this is where it gets tricky. It's always tricky to come up with a proper structure, but if we want to be minimal about this, then you need two components, yeah? So you need layout and you need card, and then the card component will be rendered as many times as you need, and it will always be the same, yeah? So we will have, let's say, 6 of them, yeah? And this is your game. This is one of the solutions. Another one, and it's quite a good idea to think for the future as well every time you are doing this. So let's say, for example, maybe sometime in the future you will want to add something like settings, yeah, where you can set things like the width of the game board, height of the game board, maybe reset the game, deal a new game, stuff like that. So in case you wanted to do something like that, it might be a good idea to have another component here, which will be like a game board, yeah, and then you would put all of the cards inside it. Yeah, have it something like this. So that's another idea, but I think for the beginning it's best to keep it simple, but it's never a bad idea to think for the future, like make things possible, So keep this in mind. If you have doubts about this, just ask me, yeah? So most of the time I've seen this done correctly. So you have created some sort of layout and some sort of card, which is fine. So let's start doing the same thing here. Yeah, I have a JS fiddle similar to what we've been doing before, and let's create a card component first. React component. Extends. And since this is JS Fiddler, it's always a good idea to check if it works. So as always, we need at least render method. And render method needs to return some JSX. So let's return something like a div, and there will be text in it, card. Yeah. So okay, it works. Our basic setup works. That's fine. Now, what I would like our card to do. Oh, actually, I have some extra stuff here. We can remove that. So our card should be a dumb component. This is what we discussed yesterday, that you have like smart and dumb components. This should just take some properties and it should render them, you know? So kind of a neat idea already would be, so what is a card in our game? So it's something that has a value. So one of the things that we need to pass in will be a value. It needs to know if it's flipped face up or face down. So that would be another thing. Yeah. So let's start minimal and let's create like a constant card, which will be a JavaScript object, and it will have a card value would be 1 in this case, and card let's call it flipped, and by default let's say it's false. Yeah. This will be our data. So this is what drives our view model. And as I've said, this is a dumb component. It just accepts property and it renders it out. Yeah. So in order to do that, I'll just pass in the card. Yeah. So this is a JavaScript object because I've created it here. This is the name of the property that will be accessible inside the component. So by doing this, it allows me to go this.props.card, yeah, and then this is the object that we passed in. So I can do card value, or I can do flipped, or anything else that we decide to pass in later on. So let's make it work now with the new data that we passed in. So let's go this props and just display the card value initially. So card it's named card and the property on the object is card value. Okay, now it works. So we passed in 1. Yeah. When you are rendering the card, it's necessary to know if it's face up or face down. So if we can see the number or not. So the way to achieve this is quite straightforward. So we go flipped. We ask if it's true or false, and then we go if it's true, take card value. If it's false, let's display a hashtag, for example. So again, run it. It's a hashtag because it's false. If I change this to true, it's a hashtag again. So something, and again the same mistake. Okay, now it's 1. Yeah. So this is the basic component. This is a good start. Yeah. Now we need to click on the card in order to turn it around. Now this is where a question comes in mind. If the click should be handled by the card or if it should be handled by the layout. Yeah. And in this case I'll come back to what I've said before. So in my opinion, the click should happen outside of the card, because we want to keep the card very stupid, you know, just render what we tell you, yeah, and that's it's usually a good approach if you can achieve something like that, because it can then make it easy to unit test something like this. And if not, even doesn't even have to be a proper unit test, but even if you are checking it visually, you know, it's easy to see if the card is rendering correctly or not. And then if you want to add some visual styles or something like that, that's where you do this, yeah. So if I want to do something like class name equals card here, then I can create a CSS class, give it some sort of height for 50 pixels, width of 50 pixels as well, and let's give it border. It will be 1 pixel solid gray. So this way we see the card. Maybe we want to center the the hashtag in it, yeah. So let's put it in a span, because it's a text. It's nicer to have it in a span than just floating around. And then you can do card span line, is it line height? I think 50 pixels. Yeah, and text align center, if I remember correctly. Good. So now we have the number or the hashtag, and it's in the center, and the card looks okay. It doesn't look great, but we are happy with it. This is about logic, this is not about the visual, yeah. So the card is done. Now for the layout, and layout obviously will be a much more difficult, but no need to be worried. So let's create a new class. Let's call it layout, and now obviously we want to render layout, not the card, yeah. So let's do that. Good. And let's say that React will be the one that renders the card now. So let's take the card component, let's pass in the card that we've created and close it, just to make sure everything works. And it still works. Okay? So now we are driving this with some data, and so far it's only one item, therefore we have one card, yeah. But since we want to have a game board which consists of some rows and columns of cards, the natural way of doing this would be to create a table which has the body, this ends here, table ends here, and now we start a new line, and every card will be a TD, so new column. Good. I have decided to keep the card so clean that actually even the TD, which you might consider might be a good idea to make it a part of the card, I didn't put it in the card component, and the reason is I want the card to be as reusable as possible, and if you put the TD inside the card element or card component, you will force the person who is going to use the card component to use a table, and I don't want to do that, yeah, because you can use unordered list, or you can display it whatever way, you know, should be up to you. So that's why I did it this way. And if we do it now, we have one card, and if we copy this twice, we should have 2 cards, and if we copy the whole line, we should have 4 cards. Yeah. So this would be most stupid way of doing it, which I wouldn't suggest, and if you do something like this, I would probably not like it on a pull request or something. So this needs to be dynamic. Yeah. So we don't want to create each card by copying bunch of HTML, but we want to do it dynamically. Therefore, it has to be data driven. Yeah. So instead of having card like a constant JavaScript object, it now makes more sense to have a array of cards. Yeah. So an array of cards where we can put multiple objects. We would have 1 and 2. Yeah. So now you all should be familiar with map function in JavaScript. If you are not, I'll show you real quick. It's really easy to use it. So let's say we have cards, which will be, let's just say it's 1, 2, 3 for now. Yeah. So this way we define an array. Yeah. And now if I want to perform certain action on each element inside that array, I can use the map function. Sorry, which gives me a neat way to access all of them. It's something like a for each loop, something very similar, but it actually returns the response of it. So it performs an action on every element and then gives you back the final array. Yeah. So I'm going to write this with an arrow function, which is something very similar to lambda in C#. What it means is I have parameters which I define on the left side, then I have an arrow like this, so equals and angular bracket to the right, and then this is the function body, and it returns what's the value on the right side. Yeah. So for this, I want the iterator, so the thing that goes over the array, to be named card, or even card value if you want. And there is another thing that it injects for me, which is called index, and index will be just the index of the item in an array, which is very useful. You know, quite often when you use map, it's a good idea to use to get the index from the function, and then you can use it as a key for certain things, or pass it to the things that you are creating. And now if I say card value, nothing happens, because it takes each of these elements and it just outputs the same thing. If I go card value plus 1, it will do 2, 3, 4. Yeah. If I do, I don't know, if I create a new array here and put an index into it, it will create a multi-dimensional array where the first will be the number and the second will be the index. And again, first number, second index. Yeah. So very easily you can map data to different data. I can do stuff like first our index card was card value 0, card was 1. Yeah. First, second, okay, the th wasn't a good idea, but you see what I meant. Yeah. So very good thing, and especially good if you combine it with JSX, because if you do that, then you can create your JSX with this map out of some data. So that's what we are going to do now. So let's do const cards rendered, let's say, and do cards, which is the name of the array that we've created before. Let's do map.
Can I stop you for a while?
Yep.
My screen is frozen. I can't see what you are doing.
No problem at all. I'll share it again. So how much did you not see?
Like 3 minutes. I was still hoping that it will maybe unfroze.
Okay. Next time if anybody has problems with their screen, just tell me as soon as it starts happening. With Skype it will probably happen quite a lot. So unless it's every 20 seconds, tell me. And then if we have some serious problems, I'm recording this whole session, so you'll get it anyways. Yeah, but just for you. So this is what I did with map. Yeah. So this is how map works. So you define an array, and then you have a function on the array which is called map, and if you pass in a arrow function, it gives you two parameters. One will be like an iterator, and one will be index, and you can do stuff with it. So you can.
Wait.
Not working again?
No.
Is it working for everybody else? Yeah, so let's just continue and you'll see then on the video, okay?
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Maybe I will drop the call and join again.
Yeah, well, you can try that. Okay. Hello. Hello. Sharing again. Any better?
Okay, I can see now. Yeah.
Okay, great. Yeah, so this is what I've been saying. You have an array, you can call a map on it. The map accepts one parameter. You can type it as an arrow function. First parameter of the arrow function will be, or first argument will be the value, so the iterator, and the second will be index. And then it acts like an for each, basically. So it goes over the whole array, and first time card value will be the first item, second time it will be the second item, and it returns the combined result of what you are doing. So like I did here, I've created some sort of sentence out of this. So an array of sentences where I said like 0th card was 1, first card was 2, and so on and so on. Yeah. And I've been saying that it's useful to do something like this with JSX as well. So that's what we are doing here now. Yeah. So no problem. So just like in this example in the console, I'm going to make card my iterator of the over the data, and let's say we need index as well. And for this we will need to return some JSX. So let's say it will be tr td. The one of you that are thinking a lot or that already seen this while we've been talking will see that there is a slight problem with this, but we'll address that later. And just like before, we are going to pass the data in, close the td, and close the tr. So now cards rendered will literally become an array of stored JSX. Yeah. So for this array, it will be trtd card, where property card will be this object, and then another item in the array will be the same, but the property card will be set to this object here. Okay. So when I now do took one too much. And now, when I now replace all of this static that we had here before, and I replace it with the cards rendered, which is where we keep our new JSX, and I run it again, there's a problem. So cards app trtd card. You can help me if you see it. Easy, I think I can't hear you, by the way. Are you on mute, maybe?
Yeah.
Okay.
I put a mute.
Yeah, I understand. Okay, so cards rendered, unexpected token.
14.
So let's do this. Let's see if this works first. Okay, doesn't complain. So we will have some sort of yeah. Needs to be in the method, obviously. Yeah. Good. And we need to render it as well. I removed that before. Okay, that's fine. There is a warning in the console, but let's not pay attention to that too much at the moment. So we have two rows, yeah? And as I've said before, the ones that you've seen this, that you did this with table, so I'm talking to you, Easy, you understand right away that there is a bit of a problem with our logic here, because we want to create this as a board, yeah? Now I see why you muted it before. I hear myself on the mic, actually.
Yeah, it's a lot of noise between. I am with I have a cold, and as well, we can have echo.
Yeah, sure. But it's better now, so it should be fine. So we need the data. So long story short, we need the data to be two-dimensional. Yeah. The reason for that is the board is two-dimensional. It's not it's not 1D, it's 2D. Simple as that. So rather than having something like this, we need to nest two of them together, giving us giving us a nested array, in this case 2 by 2, yeah, and 3, 4. Now if I just run it now, which I can do, it will obviously break completely, because the map is great, but if you want to use it on 2D, you have to react accordingly to it, yeah. So before, our iterator was the card itself, but as we said, maybe it's a good idea now to make an example. Okay, let's create a multi-dimensional array this time. 7, 8, 9. Perfect. We have a multi-dimensional array, and now if I go map, if I use like a card and an index, and I just output. Okay, if I output card, it will give me the same, so it doesn't make much sense. But even better is to look into this. So it's multi-dimensional, so we have two indexes. If I go 0, 0, it should make sense. So what will this print out?
1.
Okay. Easy and Veronica both said 1. Easy was on mute, so I'm just making you look good, even though nobody heard. So it will return 1, correct. If I do 2, it will return 3. So basically this is an index of the column, and this is the index of the row. Okay. What remains as a question for a few seconds is what happens if I do this. So can somebody tell me? Not you easy, you already know.
Yeah, because I know it before.
So what do you think, Dan and Veronica? What will this return?
I think it will return 1 to 3.
Okay, Dan, what do you think?
Yeah, it'll return the free, wasn't it? Wouldn't it? The free arrays.
So you say it will return 3 arrays.
Oh no, the first array.
First
The
array.
complete-
Great.
Yeah.
Perfect. It's very simple. I think you all knew it, yeah. But the reason why I'm saying it can be a bit tricky when you use map, yeah, because now when we use map just once, this card is not actually a card. So let's name it properly. It's not a card. It's a card. It's a row of cards, yeah. And with this knowledge and index of row. And with this knowledge, now it should be pretty clear that what we need to do is we just need to use the same function twice, yeah? If we want to get an actual card. So if I do this now, and this will be card index, and remember this is card index in row, yeah? And if we say now that if we output just the card, what will it do? Ideas?
It's going to take the value of a card in a row.
Okay, so so the inner map takes the value in the row, if in the card, and outputs what? An array of cards, yeah?
Yeah.
And then the outer map outputs an array of cards. So if I just press enter, it will give me the same we started with, yeah? But if I do something like we did before, like for example, card value is card, it will give me an array of the same dimensions, that's fine, but it will transform the data. So card value is 1, 2, yeah, 4, 5, 6, and so on and so on. So this is the way to use map on 2D data. It's almost the same, just need to pay attention to dimensions of the array, and then it's very simple to work with it. So if we now change this, let's change the naming properly, and I recommend every time do the naming very properly, because it will make it much easier for you to read your code in the beginning especially. So row of cards and row index, and inside we want, so first we want the row to be surrounded with tr, so that it's a row in the table, yeah? So that's fine. And then inside here we will write some JavaScript, so we need curly braces for the compiler to understand. And we go row of cards map again, so this is the inner map, and now we have the card and we have the index of card in row, another arrow function, and here is where we can use what we've had before. So render the actual components, surround them with TD, and print it as and pass in the property card, yeah? So now if I run this, it gives you 2 times 2. So this is what we've been after. And just to show you that I'm not lying, I will change this to true for all of them, so that we can see that. Maybe I won't. This is in a way, okay. So now if I do this, it should be 1, 2, 3, 4. So the order is correct as well. So the first is a row, which is 1 and 2, and then another row will be 3 and 4. Good. So we have, like, this is good progress. Yeah, most of you got here one way or another, and that's fine. Yeah, you should be happy with that. Now we want to make the cards work. Yeah. So first thing that we do is we should move this array that we've created outside of the component to the state, because that way every time we change something it will re-render automatically. Yeah. So for this purpose, let's add constructor. As I've said before, you need to call super first, and we can set the state here, the initial state, to be cards will become this array, and still doing it statically. Yeah. So now if we go here, this dot state dot cards, it should still work and still output the same data. So okay, I break something. There was extra semicolon there, and now it works again. So now we are getting the data that we are rendering from state, which is always a good practice. So the reason why I started with defining the array outside of the function is just to make it very simple for you from JavaScript point of view. But now, when we are confident that this works, we can move it to state, which is the proper React way of dealing with data. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
So we have the state, which is an object, and we have one property on this object called cards, and we are dealing with that here. Now, we want to make the cards clickable, yeah, and that's very easy to do in React. So let's actually add the onClick handler, and let's add it on this TD. And the onClick handler needs to be a function. This will be the function that fires. Yeah. So let's create that function. So card click, and let's console log card clicked. And if I now do this dot card click and run it, when I click the card, it will say card clicked. So that's fine, but I think it's necessary to know which card we clicked. Otherwise, this doesn't make too much sense. So now this can, when you've been doing this, I think I explained this to, not sure if to everybody, so I'll mention it again. So if you want to change the state in this function, as we said before, you need to bind this, yeah? So in order for this inside this function to be our component that we are working with, we need to add these lines of code, yeah? Or this code. That's fine, but the problem is we cannot pass any parameter to it. And if we want to know which card we clicked, we obviously need to pass it in somehow. So the proper way to do this will be again an arrow function, and this is where you can call your own function with actual parameters. So let's pass in the card, yeah? And this way, this arrow function is the thing that fires, and this is actually the thing that happens. And the good thing about this is you don't have to go like bind this anymore, because JavaScript now takes care of it for you. Yeah. So if you do it with an arrow function, it will work. This will be set up correctly for you. Yeah. Okay. So now when I get the card, I can output it. Yeah. So card clicked, card value 1, 2, 3, 4. Perfect. All of them works. Now we want to flip them when we click. Yeah. So if it's flipped or not is accessible in this array. So it's very simple to do this. So we just go this dot state dot cards, which is where we keep all of the cards. And now we need two indexes, right? We need the row index and column index to be able to access the card in the data. Yeah, because I cannot, if I just go, we have the card, yeah, but if I just go card dot flipped equals this, it will flip it, but you cannot update the state this way. We need to update all of them, or we need to update the one that updated, but this doesn't do anything, you know. If I now do this dot set state, like what card is card, you know, you don't have anything you can do to make this work. So another thing that we need on the card is the indexes. So the card needs to be aware of where it is. Yeah? That's making the card component maybe, well, we are giving it more information than it actually requires, but it's not a big deal for us. So now we will need two indexes. So let's call this, first one will be row index, will be 0, second will be column index and will be 1. Yeah, 0 actually for the first item. And let's add this here. So column for this will be 1, then row for this will be 1, and both column and row for the last one will be 1. So now if I do the same, and let's console log the card again, just one last time, so that you see the data that comes back. If I click it now, I have the row and the column index. Yeah? So now we have a way to access the data and to change the actual card that we are dealing with. It's been 42 minutes. Does anybody need a break, or we can continue?
Oh no, I think we can continue.
Okay, then Easy.
Yeah, I'm good to continue.
Okay, so Easy, you're okay as well? Okay, okay,
Yeah.
good. So we can give it like what, 5 minutes, let's say? Okay.
Okay.
So we'll
Thank you.
give it 5 minutes and we'll be right back. Okay?
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. So bye for now. Good. So everybody should be refreshed after a quick break, and we can continue right where we left off. So just a reminder, we made the clicking work and we are passing the card in. So now we know which card we actually clicked, and we added the indexes as well. So what we can do now is I can go card row index and card dot column index, and console log this first, because the way I've made the variables, it's a lot of typing, so I'm not sure if I typed it correctly, and it seems I did. Okay, great. So now we have the card in the actual data, and now it's very easy to change if it's flipped or not. So you just go like this and basically set it to whatever it was before but negate it. Yeah. So if I do this now, it's kind of strange because so it will do it. It will definitely change it, and it will actually change it on state. But the thing is, the way React works, you cannot change state directly. You always have to use this dot set state in order for it to re-render. Yeah. So this is just something to keep in mind, that every time you make changes, you need to use set state. Yeah. And if we do that, if we do that and do it like this, hopefully, syntax error, cards, not equals, but column. If we do this now, and I click this, you see that it flips right away. So, awesome, we made it work. Now, okay. The visual styles works more or less, but I'm not very happy with a couple of things. So first of all, we are creating the array statically, which is not very good practice. So I want to do this dynamically. And second of all, obviously, it still doesn't do what we want. So that's not very very good game so far. You can just click it and it shows and hides, but it's not great. So I want to make this configurable, at least in a certain way. So I want to actually pass the width and the height of the game board to the layout component. Yeah. So this will make it easy for you to later on change it. I don't know. When I've been doing this the first time, this example, when I've been preparing this, I made it very big, and then when I actually added the game logic, it was very complicated for me to verify if it works, because it took too long to find the match, you know. So it took like 4 minutes, and that's not a very good thing when you are trying to debug something. So that's why it's a good idea to make it configurable, because then if you need a smaller board, you just change it, and it's very easy. So we will inject width and height of the board, and therefore it will be available to us in layout via this.props.width or height. Okay. Now, if we want to create something dynamically, we need to set up the array first. So let's create variable cards, and let's allocate the array. So since we don't know what size it will be initially, we need to do this dynamically. And when I do something like this, I always borrow a function from internet. So create multi-dimensional array JavaScript, and there will be need function somewhere that can do this. So let's say this should be fine, and use it here. And our 5 will be this.props.width, and our 5 here will be this.props.height. And I'm thinking other way around. Yeah, sorry about that, because first index is rows and second index is columns, right? So this is how it should be. So now we get an array of nulls, but we can now access, for example, this. Yeah, and it will be null, but you can then do something like something. So you can add the objects like this, and it will work. Yeah. So since it's 2D, we will need 2 for cycles to fill this this array. So we will need 1 for rows. Start from 1. I will be less than this.props.width. Again, height, i++, and for var j, or actually I can, to make it even simpler, I can do this. Yeah, row index. I think it's a good idea to name things user friendly in the beginning. This will be column index. Column index will be less than this dot props dot width, and column index plus plus. Good. Now we have two indexes, therefore we can do stuff like cards row index and column index equals something. Now what does it equal? Yeah, so it has to be similar to our prototype of the object. Yeah, so this is what we will need there, and some of the things will now come from these indexes. So row index will be row index, and column index will be column index. Flipped by default, I think it's obvious that we want it to be false. Yeah, and card value is something that's a bit tricky, because we want them to be randomized, but we want them to be if we have 4 cards, we need 2 pairs. If we have 8 cards, we need 4 pairs. Yeah, so it's not so straightforward to do this. So let's, for now, just make it very not very interesting game, and it will be just 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3. Yeah, it will follow in the order, and later on we can randomize it. So for now, let's do just row index times times the width. So this way you get the, this is like mapping from 2D to 1D, you know. So we need to this card, its index would be 2, so it will be 0, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, and we are just trying to find a transformation that brings us there. So in order to do that, we obviously need to take the column index, and we need to add row index times width, because as if we are on the 0th row, we need to take 0 times 2. If we are on the first row, we need to take 1 times 2 plus column index to get the number that we are after. Yeah, and since I don't want to start with 0 with this, because this is card value, I will add 1. So now if I take these cards that we created and set them in the initial state, hopefully this should work. Cannot read height of undefined. So this dot props, it's complaining about height here. We passed it in constructor. If you are passing properties, it's a good idea to do it like this, because then you can access the ones that you've created the object with. And did I use it anywhere else? I don't think so. Here. So let's see if it works now. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, it works, and it's now 3 by 4, as I've said here. Yeah. And now if I change this, it will be 5 by 4, and there is something we can take care of right away, because if I change this to 3 by 3, it still works and it's nice, but it doesn't make sense because you need pairs. So obviously width time height must be an even number. Yeah. So it's a good idea to alert something like so if props dot width times props dot height modulo 2 is 1. This means it's odd number. Let's alert something like odd number of cards. Yeah. Later on we should handle this more properly, but for now at least we get a warning. Yeah. So and let's change it to something that works. Good. Game is set up. If I click this, we have a problem. So row index cards, and you can help me out if you see a problem there. So it's displaying the same card over and over again. So let's output this disk console log after we create it. I'm starting to think that maybe this is not right, but I'll figure it out. Just checking syntax. All of you look as well. So it's an array of 4, 9, card value is 9, flipped, column index 0, row index 2, column index 0, row index doesn't seem to be working properly. Column index, yeah. Row index is always 1, so that's strange. Row index var equals 0, row index will be less than height. So I have some doubts.
You are not.
Yeah?
One moment. Can you go to the code again, please?
Yeah.
It's because you are not dividing, no? Because what you are doing is multiply.
Oh, this is fine. Yeah, we are not worried about that because see the card value. Well, yeah, okay, it doesn't work at the moment, but the main reason is the row index. The row index for some reason is wrong.
Right.
Yeah?
Yes. Yeah.
And it seems like it's taking like a reference, and then all of these are the same basically, which tells me that probably the array is not set up correctly. So let's borrow this. Maybe what I've copied before.
Do you want to send you what we used before?
Let's try this. I think actually this
it
might
worked
be
properly.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I was a bit surprised. So let's do this, and first parameter will be props dot width, and second parameter will be props dot, and I switched it again. I can almost guarantee that the first way I say it will be the other way around. And now if we do this, okay, now it works. See, so that's why you have to think, and you cannot just copy things from internet. This is a good lesson as well. Good. So now we have our data copied, created dynamically, and our game our game doesn't work, but at least our game board works. Yeah. And now let's add some logic to this so that it's doing the things that we want it to do. So first of all, I only want us to be able to click only cards that are not face up, because it doesn't make sense to turn cards that are already face up back so that you cannot see them. Yeah. So this is something that just doesn't make sense for the game. So in the click handler, let's just do if card is not flipped. Let's turn it only then. Yeah. Good. So this, even though it looks like a bit of a limitation, now if I click, it doesn't do anything. So we can only click cards that are not clicked, which is good. Yeah. But the logic obviously still doesn't work. So first of all, the numbers are not correct. So easy, as you pointed out, now we don't have pairs. We have all of the numbers there, and we need it to be 1, 1, 2, 2 in order to test the game logic. Even though it's not randomized, so it will be simple to play it, but we need to do this properly. So to achieve that, we can take this function that we use to transform from 2D coordinates to 1D coordinates, and if I divide this by 2, it will do something like this: 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5. So that's more or less fine, but what we want to do now is just floor it down. Yeah. So in JavaScript we have a method floor that we can use on this, and it's in library math, and it's called floor lowercase. Take this, and when I run it, now it's good. So now it's a properly initialized game board, even though it's not randomized. Yeah. So, and it only allows us to turn cards when they are not turned face up already. Now, in order to make the game work, in my opinion, it's quite useful to create something like a game state. So, how does the game work? When you start, what is it doing? It's waiting for the first card to be turned face up. After you do that, the game is waiting for the second card to be face up. After you turn the second card, it will either be correct, so the values, these two values, will be the same, and it will be fine, and it will allow you to continue. So basically the game state will go back to awaiting first card, yeah? Or it will be wrong, and then it will it should give you a chance to see these cards, but then when you click another one, these two should flip back so that you cannot see them anymore. Yeah. So the states that I've now described, we can name them waiting for the first card, waiting for the second card, and wrong. Yeah. So let's create something like a helper, game states, and let's do waiting for the first card, yeah, VFTFC, which will be, we can even do this, waiting for the first card. So this is like a constant, yeah, it's still JavaScript object, but I want something like a constant so that we can keep this information somewhere. Second state will be waiting for the second card, yeah, VFTSC, and it will be waiting for the second card. And last state is simple. Last state is when it's wrong. So wrong, okay? This is the state where you just wait for another click to happen and then you flip the cards upside down. No, upside down. Bottom up. Okay, you know what I mean. Good. So now we have these states defined. So you all know a thing or two about C#. So think of this as if it was some sort of enum. Yeah. And as part of initialization of the layout component, we will say that the game state will be game states waiting for the first card. Yeah. So in the beginning, we are waiting for the first card. Now, when we click the first card and then when we click the second card, we want to store them somewhere so that we can just keep them basically. So what we can do is we can store first card, which initially will be null, and we can keep second card, which initially will be null. Okay. Now, when we click a card, what we will do is we will switch over the this.state.gameState. Do you know how switch work? I'm just asking, I'm not sure.
Yes.
Okay, good. So if we have a case of game states, let's call this enum. Let's pretend it's an enum. It's not a proper enum because it's more of a dictionary. And obviously here it's a JavaScript object, but let's pretend it's an enum. Just for the naming convention, just to make it easier for you. So I need to rename it here as well. So we will we will switch on the game state, and in case it's waiting for the first card, we'll do some things that always ends with a break because it's a switch statement. And if it's the first card, we will first of all flip the card. Yeah. So we will do this, and we will also state. Yeah, so we will need this as well, and we will also need to store this card in order to access it later. Yeah. So let's say that first card now will be card. Okay. So now after this happens, if I take a look at the state, my state, okay, and we need to change the state as well, because game state is now game states enum is now waiting for the second card. Yeah. So we saved the first card and we changed the state so that the game knows that we are now waiting for the second card. Okay. What's neat is you can actually render this somewhere as well. So it might be useful to maybe display like I'll wrap this in another div, and let's say that here we just say inside another div we output this.state.gameState. So this is like for debugging purposes. So in the beginning you see that the state is waiting for the first card. Yeah. When I click the first card, it says waiting for the second card, and the card didn't flip for some reason. So okay, because I did it twice. So let's rerun it, and I'll update this as well so that we don't lose it. So now I click it, and you see that the game state changed and the card flipped as well, which is great. When I click another one, it doesn't work because we didn't finish our switch statement. So let's finish it now. So another case that we need to handle will be waiting for the second card. Yeah. Let's not forget to break at the end. And what happens when we reveal the second card? So first of all, we need to flip it. Yeah. So this we need to do. Secondly, we need to compare if the first card value and second card value is the same. Yeah. So if this dot state dot first card dot card value equals card dot card value. Remember, this card we are passing in through the handler. Okay. So if it if it's the same, we won this round, and if it's not the same, we lost it. Yeah. So now this should flip every time. So let's keep it that way. But this will be now different. So first of all, the new new state, if it's correct, will be this set state game state becomes. So what does it become now? If we guessed right, you can tell me. What should I write there? Yeah, so we have
So
three states waiting for the first
so
card.
they should disappear or something. In
So-
the case, for example, they are the same,
So if it's the same, they should actually stay.
or to block, or yeah.
They should actually stay face up. Yeah.
Okay.
So what does it mean for the state of the game? So remember, we have three states. We have waiting for the first card, waiting for the second card, and wrong. Yeah.
This should be waiting for the first card and those. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
And then
That's
we
it.
should keep them turned.
Yeah, that's right. So if it's correct, we change the game state to waiting for the first card. Yeah. So this is one thing that we change, and another thing that we should change is the game itself, is the cards actually, because we flipped it. Yeah. So you have to remember, you have to change this, and try to not call set state multiple times if you don't have to, because every set state will cause the whole application to re-render. And now I'm not saying it's a big deal, like I can do rather than putting it here, you know, like this, I can just call the method twice and it will have the same result. But if you can, try to put it together, because like, why re-render twice when you don't have to, you know? It's just about that. So now if it's correct, we are changing this to waiting for the first card and updating the card so that it's flipped. Yeah. Okay. So let's try it. Waiting for the second card. If I click the second card, it says waiting for the first card. Good. If I click this one and now I click something that is not correct, it doesn't work, because again we are not handling that situation. So if it's not correct, we should tell it that it's not correct. Yeah. Wrong. And update the cards as well. Yeah. So now if I run it, first still works, and if I click now something else, it says wrong. So we're almost there, but now we don't handle the wrong state. Yeah. So this is the last case for our switch. Perfecto. So this will be the last one, and it's almost done. Wrong. Okay. And what do we want to do when the state is wrong and you click on a card? You tell me.
I would do it like that. The second card will be flipped to the other side, and the first card, which was the 2, you can find another right card for it.
Okay, that's one way to do it, but that's not how the game works, as far as I know. Maybe I know different rules, but
Yeah, I played it like this, that if you can turn one, and then you are looking for the next round.
okay,
Next, you know?
I see. Yeah, so so let's make it more complicated and let's turn both of them
Yeah, you can
bottom
do it
up.
like that. Yeah.
So in this case, we forgot to do one thing actually. So if it's wrong, we should keep the second card, yeah, so that we can access it later. So second card will be card, okay? So you know why I did it, and you know why I remembered, because now I need it, and it's not been populated properly. So that's why I remembered. Okay, I need to do this. I don't need to do it if it's correct, because if it's correct, I don't care. You know, if it's correct, then we are just moving to another one. Awesome. And therefore now, what we need to do is flip the cards back. So flip, and actually we can make this simpler. Since we don't need to negate this, but we can just turn it to true, because it will always be true. Yeah. True. So if you can click only the cards that are face down, we can just set it to true if you click them. Yeah. Just save a couple of lines of code basically. And therefore now we need to do this dot state dot first card row index, and this dot state dot first card dot column index to flip the first card. Yeah. Then do the same with the second card. Okay. So now this flips the cards. Yeah. And then when we are setting the state, we need to update the cards. Okay. So that's what we do here. And we need to say game state game is waiting for the first card. Okay. So now when I run this, I have waiting for the second card, waiting for the first card because I have chosen the correct one. Now waiting for the second card, I choose the wrong one. It's wrong, yeah. And now if I click again, those two disappeared, and it's waiting for the first card again, yeah. If we want, we can turn the new card as well right away. So what we can do here is we can just turn this card right away when it's wrong, and then set the state actually to waiting for the second card, because we already flipped the first one. You know what I mean? Did you notice it? What happened?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So now first works, second wrong, and now if I click another one, it turns the first card right away, and I can choose another one. There was something wrong there. Okay, now I choose this. It's wrong. That's fine. I choose this. It's waiting for the second card. And if I click this, it's waiting for the first card. No, it should be wrong. No. I think for the second card. This is the kind of logic that is sometimes hard to debug. So the better you name your variables and the better the approach is you've chosen, it should be easier. Okay, so now it's wrong. Now I click something else and it should flip the new card. Ah, yeah, now I see. Yeah, because then we need to save it as well. So first card will be the card that we have chosen, at least this. And maybe there's another problem there, I'm not sure. Ah, no, okay, that was it, yeah. So I didn't save the first card, so it thought it was actually correct, yeah. So that's the reason. But now our game seems to be working. Hooray! Okay,
Nice.
good.
Uh-huh.
And now, okay, let's finish it. Let's randomize it as well, yeah. Just so that we have this to make it like the proper finished assignment, yeah. Because I think if you created a solution like this, probably nobody would play this game too much. So let's randomize it, and that's where we leave. And then I'll tell you what you can do next. So so this is what we have so far, and we want to randomize it somehow. Okay, so let's say that we want to create an 1D index, one-dimensional index that will go from 0 to 1D index to this times this. Okay, so it will, in this case, it will go to 12, and 1D index plus plus. And now let's create another array, which will be numbers. Start with an empty array, and let's push index divided by 2, okay, plus 1. Same logic applies, so we need to do math.floor as well. So this way we get the list of numbers, yeah. So now, if rather than what we had here first, I do this, so I choose to use the array numbers that we've created, and I need to transform the index from 2D to 1D again. So I take row index times properties width plus column index. This is just so that I have so that I'm accessing the correct place in the one-dimensional array. So now if I do this, it will be exactly the same how it was, yeah. But now we are taking the information from a different array, and there is nothing easier than to randomize the array that you have already. So, and we will borrow some code for this as usual. So JavaScript, how should I randomize array shuffle, it's the proper word, yeah. But they say this works. Let's try it. If it doesn't, we'll try something else. Let's keep it here, like some sort of helper functions. Shuffle array maybe. And what does it do? Okay, it shuffles the actual array, so I don't need to return anything. And when we have created the numbers here, I will just shuffle the numbers, yeah. So now, if that worked, this is no longer working. Yeah. Ah, I got one. Where was 2? Here. Okay, I got another one. Yeah. So now it's randomized. It's working. It's done properly. Plus, it's kind of cool to have this state on it. Like then, for example, we've been talking about this before, and so your idea was to keep it in an array. So take the first card, push it to an array. Then when we choose the second card, push it to an array as well. And then take a look at the length of the array of pushed cards and clean it every time something happens with the game, which is like, that's fine, you know, it would work, you would achieve the same results as I did. I just think that this way is like, anytime you can take a look at the game and there will always be this game state which will tell you exactly what's going on. Yeah. Plus, if we want to make it clever, you can say like there will be another one which will be, I don't know, finished. Yeah. And then we can just check if all of the cards are face up, and then you can say the game is finished, and you can display congratulations message or something like that. Yeah. So this is the way. I think it's clean. Should be quite easy to understand how I did it. When you know how to write code with React, I think this should take maybe like 15-20 minutes, half an hour if you have some unexpected problems and you need to debug something. So this is what you are aiming for. Yeah, like this is an easy example, and the only reason why it's hard for you now is because you don't have experience with it, basically. So we'll be aiming for you to be able to create something like this in, let's say, an hour. Yeah, eventually. Good. So that's it. So the assignment is done. I know how all of you did, so there's no reason to like continue with this. You know that you would just take your things that you have now and, I don't know, finish it or something. But the idea that I have at the moment is, so you can copy what I've created here. I'll make it public, so that you can take this code. Or if you want, you can finish yours. Actually, it might not be a bad idea. If you want, you can finish yours, you know. Either follow what I've said, or if you have a different idea, feel free to use that. That's fine as well. But make it work. And then what we can do is we can make it better, basically. So we've built a very simple component now, or actually 2 components. So now what you can do is you can, for example, like I've said here, you can maybe add some settings. Yeah, and you can have buttons which will be reset. Okay, then you can have a drop down of some sort which will be width and height. Yeah. What else? We can have, let's take all of these. We can have a message, some sort of a message maybe. That might be a good idea. So like message component which can display stuff like you have 6 cards left to turn, you know. When the game is finished, this can display game is finished, congratulations, or it can reset it automatically, or whatever you prefer. It can even tell you some maybe more user-friendly version of this state that we have here. Yeah. So this this sort of a new assignment is more about being a bit creative. Yeah. So you can just take what we have already and come up with a way to make it better and to add some more stuff to it. So the reason why I have chosen to continue with it is I don't want to start a new one where you will again like create some very simple component and then create another very simple component. I want to build on what we did already, and that way you can like learn how to put things together, make them work together. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So this is your second quest, warriors. Yeah. If you want, use Bootstrap, you know, for CSS to make it easy to work with the grid system. Like if you want, I'm not saying you should or you have to. I don't care, to be honest. I don't care about the visual styles. The reason why I'm saying it is just might be easier for you to work with the grid system then. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Or use any other, or create your own. You know, it's never a bad idea to do something fancy with CSS. At least you'll learn a bit. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, sounds good.
Good.
Yep.
So you have work to do. I don't want to spend too much time with it. Like tomorrow we really have to continue and learn more about how we handle data, as I've said before. But I think one more day to play with this and to make it a bit more fancy should be enough. And then we'll play with React a lot anyway. So you'll learn as we go. Okay.
Good.
Yeah. So tomorrow morning we can discuss this. I'll sit with all of you guys. Well, probably not with you then. That would get a bit expensive to go sit down with you. And we'll take a look at
home probably.
yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, come
And
out for a cup of tea.
yeah, okay, I can come for a visit. Can I get a flight for tomorrow? Good. So tomorrow I'll discuss with all of you guys what you've created, how you fancied it up, and that's it from me for today.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank
It was
you.
very
No
nice.
Yeah,
problem
thank
at
you.
all. Have a nice day.
You too.
Bye.
Thank
See you now.
you. Bye. Bye.
Bye.